In a small town surrounded by quiet green hills, there lived a boy named Jake, who attended the local school. He was an ordinary kid, cheerful, curious, and full of energy. He loved spending time outdoors, playing basketball with friends, listening to birds sing, and lying on the grass watching the clouds move slowly across the sky. That was his little world, simple and peaceful. But Jake had one challenge that always bothered him: studying. No matter how much effort he put in, he struggled to understand his lessons. The words in his books seemed to blur together, and nothing seemed to stay in his memory. His classmates sometimes laughed at his mistakes, which made him feel even worse. Slowly, Jake began to lose faith in himself. One afternoon, after class had ended and the school hallways grew quiet, Jake noticed Mr. Thompson, his philosophy teacher, still sitting in the classroom alone, reading through some papers. Taking a deep breath, Jake walked toward him, his heart beating fast. In a soft voice, he said, "Sir, can I talk to you about something?" Mr. Thompson looked up and smiled warmly. "Of course, Jake, have a seat. What's on your mind?" Jake hesitated for a moment before speaking again. "Sir, I don't think I'm good at studying. I can't focus or remember anything. I keep trying, but I fail every time. I feel hopeless." Mr. Thompson nodded gently. "You're not alone, Jake. Many students go through this. But the truth is, if you truly want to improve, you can. It's all about learning how to control your mind." He leaned back in his chair and said, "Let's start today. I'll share with you 5 simple but powerful lessons that will help you focus better and change the way you learn." Mr. Thompson stood up from his chair, walked toward his desk, and picked up a clear glass jar filled with muddy water. He placed it in front of Jake and said softly, "Take a look at this, Jake. What do you see?" Jake leaned closer and replied, "Just muddy water, sir." Mr. Thompson smiled. "Exactly. Now let's leave it here for a while and see what happens." Time passed. The two sat quietly as the dirt inside the jar slowly began to settle at the bottom. After some minutes, the water turned clear. "What do you see now?" asked Mr. Thompson. Jake watched carefully and said, "The water's clear now, sir." "Right," said Mr. Thompson. "Our mind works just like this jar. When it's filled with stress, worry, and endless thoughts, everything feels messy. But when we stay still and calm ourselves, our thoughts begin to settle. And that's when we can see clearly." Jake listened carefully. Every word made sense to him. "So," continued Mr. Thompson, "before you start studying, sit quietly for a few minutes. Close your eyes. Breathe in slowly and out. Let your thoughts fade away until your mind feels peaceful. A calm mind learns better, remembers better, and grows stronger." That evening, Jake tried it for the first time. He sat by his desk, closed his eyes, and focused on his breathing. Just like Mr. Thompson said, at first his mind jumped from one thought to another: homework, his friends, basketball practice, even random memories. But after a few minutes, something shifted. His mind began to slow down. For the first time, Jake felt still. He opened his eyes, looked around his room, and smiled. Maybe, he thought, this was the beginning of real focus. Sons that will help you focus better and change the way you learn. The next day, Jake went to see Mr. Thompson again after school. The warm afternoon light filled the classroom as the teacher smiled and said, "So, Jake, how did the first lesson go?" Jake grinned slightly. "It actually worked, sir. I felt calmer while studying last night. My head wasn't jumping all over the place." Mr. Thompson nodded. "Good. That's progress. Now you're ready for the second lesson. Focus on the present moment." He placed a small lit candle on the table. The flame flickered gently as the air moved through the room. "Watch this flame," Mr. Thompson said. "Keep your eyes on it and try to think of nothing else. Just stay here, right now, with it." Jake did as told, staring at the small golden light. For a few seconds it was easy. But soon, his mind began to wander. He thought about his exam results, his friends, and what his parents might say if he failed again. Mr. Thompson noticed his distraction and said calmly, "That's okay, Jake. The mind always drifts. But every time it does, bring it back, again and again, to this moment. That's how focus is built. Jake tried again. This time, he took a deep breath and centered his thoughts on the flame. The light seemed steady, quiet, alive. His mind felt lighter, almost peaceful. Mr. Thompson spoke softly. "Jake, the past is already gone, and the future hasn't arrived yet. All we truly have is this moment. If you learn to focus on what's in front of you, whether it's a candle, a book, or a lesson, you'll start to master your mind." Jake nodded, still watching the glow. It was simple advice, yet it felt powerful, a truth he had somehow missed all along. That night he practiced again, and this time his focus lasted longer than ever before. A few days later, Jake met Mr. Thompson again after class. The teacher smiled as he noticed Jake's brighter expression. "You look more confident, Jake," he said. "I see the first 2 lessons are working." Jake nodded. "Yes, sir. I can actually sit and study now without feeling so restless." Mr. Thompson leaned forward and said, "Good. Today's lesson is simple. Don't just memorize, try to understand." He took out a sponge and a small rock from his drawer and placed them on the desk. Then he poured water over both. The sponge soaked it up completely, while the water just rolled off the rock. Mr. Thompson smiled. "Jake, students are like these 2 objects. Some only memorize, like the rock. They don't absorb anything. But others try to understand, imagine, and connect what they learn to real life. Like the sponge. They remember because they truly absorb the knowledge." Jake looked at the objects carefully and nodded. "So it's not about remembering every word. It's about understanding the meaning." "Exactly," Mr. Thompson said. "When you understand something, it stays with you forever. But when you just cram, it disappears as soon as the test ends." That night Jake opened his textbook again, but this time he read differently. He didn't just repeat sentences. He imagined the ideas, connected them to examples, and even explained them aloud as if teaching someone else. Slowly, he realized studying could actually be interesting. It wasn't about pressure anymore. It was about curiosity. For the first time, learning didn't feel like a burden. It felt like discovery. Mr. Thompson's voice echoed in his mind. "Be the sponge, Jake, not the rock." And from that day forward, Jake promised himself that he would never just memorize again. He would always seek to understand. One sunny afternoon, Jake once again visited Mr. Thompson's classroom. By now, these after-school lessons had become his favorite part of the day. Every time he left, his mind felt lighter, his thoughts clearer. Mr. Thompson smiled as Jake entered. "Ready for your next lesson?" he asked. Jake nodded eagerly. The teacher picked up a large wooden block from his desk and handed it to Jake. "Try to break this," he said. Jake frowned, gripping it tightly with both hands. He pushed, pulled, even hit it against the desk, but it wouldn't break. Finally, he gave up, panting. Mr. Thompson chuckled softly. "Don't worry. Let me show you something." He took a small saw, divided the block into several smaller pieces, and handed one of them to Jake. "Now, try again." Jake pressed down with both hands. Crack. The smaller piece snapped easily. Mr. Thompson smiled. "See? You couldn't break it all at once, but you could when it was in smaller parts." Learning works the same way. You can't take in too much at once. It overwhelms your mind. Instead, break things down. Study little by little, one topic at a time. Jake listened carefully as Mr. Thompson continued. "Take short breaks. Don't rush. Be patient with yourself. A few focused minutes every day will get you further than hours of distracted studying." That night, Jake followed the advice. Instead of spending hours staring at his notes, he studied one topic, took a short break, and came back refreshed. Surprisingly, he remembered more than ever before. He smiled to himself. For the first time, learning didn't feel impossible. It felt manageable. Each small effort was adding up, one step at a time. And Jake finally understood. Consistency, not pressure, creates progress. A week later, Jake returned to the classroom for what he knew would be his final lesson with Mr. Thompson. He had already learned so much: how to calm his mind, focus on the present, understand deeply, and take small steps. But today, Mr. Thompson had one more thing to teach him. When Jake arrived, he saw two small clay pots sitting on the teacher's desk. One was dry and empty. The other had a tiny green sprout peeking through the soil. Mr. Thompson smiled. "These pots hold your last lesson, Jake. Practice every day." He pointed to the pots. "I planted seeds in both at the same time, but I only watered one of them every day. Look at the difference." Jake nodded slowly, realizing the meaning behind it. "Learning," Mr. Thompson continued, "is like watering a seed. If you take care of it a little every day, it grows. But if you skip days or give up too soon, nothing happens. Even 10 or 20 minutes a day can change your results, if you do it consistently." Jake smiled. "So it's not about studying for hours once in a while. It's about being regular." "Exactly," Mr. Thompson said proudly. "Small efforts, repeated every day, create big success." From that day onward, Jake practiced what he had learned. Each night he spent a little time studying, calm, focused, and curious. Slowly his grades began to rise, his confidence returned. Learning became something he enjoyed, not feared. Years passed, and Jake grew into a successful young man. But he never forgot those 5 lessons that changed his life. And if you ever feel lost or unable to focus, remember Jake's journey. Start small, stay consistent, and believe in yourself, because even the smallest daily effort can turn into something extraordinary. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe to my channel for more inspiring stories.